Hi, I'm Carol Jurgensen-Sheets, aka Carol the Coach, and I wanted to share with you a bit of my story because my story turned into your story. In 2007, I became a CSAT, a Certified Sexual Addictions Therapist, and when I started working with sex addicts, I found that if they followed the formula that I prescribed, they did a great job of getting healthy. And yet they all consistently said, my wife is in the fetal position on the floor. She's really sad. She's devastated. She wants nothing to do with me. She wakes up in the middle of the night and she punches me. She slaps me. She kicks me. Something's really wrong with her. She's never, ever showed any violent tendencies before. Well, what I knew was she was suffering from trauma. And that trauma was creating stress responses that affected her amygdala. And she went into fight, flight, or freeze. And so I thought about it, and I asked myself, what can I do? Here I am working with the addict, but I want to help her too. And we've been taught you can't work with the addict and work with the partner. And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it. And I said, that's baloney. One therapist or coach can work with both people. They can do something called early recovery couples work. And so from that day forward, I said to whoever called me, I want you to bring your spouse in. I want him or her to meet me. I want him or her to see who I'm working with. And I really meant that for the partners because I wanted to, A, be a part of their team, B, make sure that she was getting the help she needed, and C, I wanted her to know that together I could help them heal. Now, one of the ways I did that was that I wrote a book called Help Her Heal, an empathy workbook for sex addicts to help their partners heal. What I realized is he didn't know empathy. He didn't know how to do it. He didn't know how to say it. He didn't know how to talk it. He didn't know how to show it. And she needed to see that. One piece of empathy is perspective taking. And that is so important. He needed to be able to take her perspective. He needed to be able to look at her and understand her traumatized brain. He needed to be able to understand her feelings, to know how devastated she was. It's so interesting when I would say things like to him, she doesn't know what to trust anymore. She thought she knew what she had, and now she's found out her entire world has been rocked by your sexually acting out. And she doesn't know if she'll ever be the same person. She doesn't know if you'll ever be the same person. She doesn't know if she can ever trust you. She doesn't know if she can trust the present, and she definitely doesn't know if she can trust the future. And he'd go, oh my gosh, that's exactly what she's been saying. So when I saw that he was using Help Her Heal and he was doing a remarkable job and he was identifying what her feelings were and he was able to assess her needs and he leaned into triggers and helped her work through them as opposed to walking out in the garage because he thought he was the trigger, so he better get out of the room. She started getting better. And when I taught him AVR, to acknowledge the pain, to validate her feelings, and to reassure her of the changes he was making, they got better. And that, coupled with dealing with his shame so that he didn't go into a shame spiral when she lashed out, when she got angry. Wow, when he didn't go into that shame spiral, he didn't make it all about him. And again, together they got healthy. Now, it's not something that can be accomplished in a month. It takes real dedication, and it takes many, many months. But what I can promise you is if the two of you do this work together, you will see radical changes right off the bat. And you'll begin to feel the hope that you've wanted to have, that you can restore this relationship and keep your families together. You know, I know many partners stay because they don't want to incur the financial issues. They don't want to break up the family. They don't want to shatter their lives in a whole different way. And so, together, you can heal. That's why I wrote Help Them Heal. This is a book that teaches you both what you can do to get healthy together again. You know, as a partner, this was collateral damage for you. You didn't ask for this, you don't deserve it, and why should you have to work on it? I know, there really is no reason. But I also know that if you can keep the marriage together, if you can rebuild your sense of self, if you can find serenity again, you want to stay with him. And you know, if you don't, and you get involved in this work, I'll help you get out. You're in the driver's seat. The partner is in the driver's seat now that this has happened to her. So it's so important that you recognize that clearly you're in 3 stages of partner betrayal. When you first find out about this, you're in safety and stabilization. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for safety in an unsafe situation. One of my favorite quotes from Barbara Steffens. When you get stabilized, and sometimes that can take a year or a year and a half, then you start doing the grief work, the anger work, the mourning work, the loss work. And he helps you with that. And last but not least, when you've gotten through that phase, you're over here in post-traumatic growth. And you decide how you can make a difference in this world based on the tragedy that has happened to you. I want you to go to my website, www.sexhelpwithcarolthecoach. It immediately turns into something called ERCEM, which is the early recovery couples empathy model that I'm talking about both in this book and also in your lives. It means that one professional will work with both of you, a trained professional that I've trained to do this work. I've trained 80 professionals all over the world, and some of them can cross state lines. They know what to do, they've got exercises, they've got plans, and they're ready to help you heal. ERCEM, the Early Recovery Couples Empathy Model, is something that my friend Jake Porter and I train couples about. It's something I created, and Jake, who does an amazing job with couples, jumped on the bandwagon and said, let's do this together, Carol. So, www.sexhelpwithcarolthecoach, and I just want to give you some hope. I want to be a beacon of hope that if you want to stay, if you want this coupleship to heal, I know the way to do it, and it's the ERCEM way. Thanks for spending time with me tonight.